Sino kaya tong Filipino rapper na ito na gumagawa ng pangalan dito sa Sydney, Australia? Tara, alamin natin sa video na ito. Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel, and for today's video, meron akong bagong series na i-introduce sa inyo. Interviewing random people here in Australia. Okay, for today's video, my guest is none other than 3CK himself.
How's it going, team? How's it going, gang?
So, for those who don't know who 3CK is, malalaman nyo sa video na ito. So, keep on watching.
I know.
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome to my video.
Yes, yeah. It's a pleasure to be
Sa
here.
hindi mga nakakapanood pa, meron kaming vlog before. Like, January last year, I released it. So, ilalagay ko dito yung link later. So anyway, welcome sa channel na to. Inunahan ko na sila Jimmy Fallon, sila Steve Harvey, sila Jimmy Kimmel na mag-interview. Kasi once na nandun na si 3CK sa top, inunahan ko na. At least ako, I'm the very first one to interview this guy. So, huyo kayo. Anyway, welcome again.
Thank you, bro.
Okay. So, let's dive in.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, my first question. Tell us your name first and your background.
Okay. So, my name is, my legal name is Jeremiah. First name. Last name is Reylo, if you want to know as well. But I was born in the Philippines. At the age of 4, I got moved to Bahrain in the Middle East by my parents. My father, he works overseas a lot, and he decided that I was going to go and live with him in Bahrain. So again, in the Middle East, right next to Saudi. I spent 11 years of my life there. And I was there for a very long time, and then suddenly it was time to move on again. And so Papa took me out of Bahrain, and then we moved to New Zealand, and lived there for 9 years. After that, we decided to move again. Well, at this stage, I moved. My parents already moved when I decided to move. But moved to Australia pretty much, and I've been here in Australia for about 3 years now. We're going 3 years.
Oh, so, 3 years, same as your name, 3.
Exactly, yeah, 3CK.
3CK.
I think this is the year. Yeah, it's 3 years, 3CK.
Yes.
So, overseas, that's how I grew up. I've had to learn to accommodate different cultures. I've had to learn from different people from different backgrounds, and I think everybody had a part to play in how I've been shaped as a person, my view of myself and the people around me. And there's a lot of people to thank for that. And that's my little spiel about my journey.
So kaya tell us about something dun sa name mo na 3CK. Bakit siya third CultureKID?
I love that question.
So why is it 3CK? Ano yung origin nun? Anong pinagdaanan nun? Bakit? What's the process within it? Kung paano mo nakuha yung name na yun?
That's good. That's a really good question. Because you know what, bro? There's not a lot of people that knows about what third CultureKID means. Like if you say third CultureKID to someone, majority of the time they wouldn't know. So even for me, I didn't know. I was speaking to this guy. Actually, he happens to go to a church, and he's one of the leaders in the church. And he asked me the question, "Where are you from?" Which is very common. Everybody would
always ask
that question, right?
Yeah.
And my answer all the time is literally what I just told you. I was born in the Philippines. At the age of 4, I moved to Bahrain, and then so on and on and on and on. And it's a very long explanation. Sometimes I get really tired trying to explain myself. So he asks me, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, here we go again." Like I have to tell him the whole story. So I did, because I want to honor every single place that I've come from.
Yeah.
And he was the first person that's ever told me this in response to saying with what I said. Because usually people will say, "Oh my, that's a long journey. Oh, that's that's cool. That's nice." He said straight on, like directly, "Oh, so you're a third CultureKID." He just said it, and I was like I didn't expect that. I was caught off guard. So I said, "Oh, what does that mean?" "Oh, let me show you." He Googled it, and he showed it to me. And by
Oh.
definition, if you do Google it right now, it's someone who's lived in 3 or more countries that's
Okay, that's why.
opposite to their parents' culture.
All
So
right.
that means, yeah, like that's exactly, it just matches everything with what I've experienced. And when I found out about that, that really changed my perspective about myself, because there are many times where I wonder why I feel alone. Like, you know, like why do I feel like I'm always the odd one out of the whole group that I'm with, whether I'm in the Philippines, whether I'm in Bahrain, whether I'm in New Zealand. Like I always feel like I don't belong. Like I feel like that's what I feel. And I think it just has something to do with just traveling so much and living in so many countries and having to adjust all the time and relocate all the time. That's part of being a third culture kid. So if you ask another third culture kid, where are you from? They're gonna tell you a very similar thing. I was born here, I lived here, I lived there, I lived there. And then I realized at that time I wanted to have an artist name, and I've been rapping for 15 years.
15 years.
15 years.
That's
And
too long, mate.
it took me almost, I would say, 13 years to be able to finally get an idea of who I am as an artist, like in terms of like how I want to present myself. Like I've been rapping, like I know how to rap, like that's something I've always done for 15 years, but having an identity is very important as an artist.
So thanks to that man who you spoke with.
Exactly. So
What's his name? Shout out to him.
His name is Adrian.
He's
He's a pastor. Yeah. So shout out to Adrian. I don't know where you at, but I know you're a good man, and you've definitely sown a seed in my life. And look what you've done. Look at what you've done as a faithful follower of God. And you know now I'm just living my life for God and the purposes that He's given me. You know, I've got a vision. So third culture kid.
Third culture kid. Third culture kid.
Third culture.
Anyway, so for those who didn't know, si 3CK, he can speak our language, which is Tagalog.
Yes,
He's
that's right. Yeah.
very fluent, even though he grew up in Bahrain, New Zealand, and here in Australia.
Yeah.
He can understand you. So when we go there in the Philippines,
Yeah, for sure.
you can speak with him in our language.
For sure. No, I'm more than happy to do
So
that. Yeah.
why is like that? I mean, you grew up in this country, which is English dominant countries.
Yeah.
So how did it happen? I mean,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I think it had a lot to do with who I was living with for a majority of my life growing up.
Yeah.
So thankfully, my parents and I, were very tight family. Very natural or very normal for a Filipino family to be very close. So
Yes.
I've spent a lot of my time, like if I'm not outside hanging out with my friends, at home with my parents. And mama and papa, they'll talk to me in Tagalog. They'll be like, Jeremiah, hugasan mo na yung pinggan. And then I'll be like, okay ma, okay.
Typical mom.
Yeah, typical mom. Yeah, like they're training you.
Typical Filipino mom.
That's a very typical thing for them to say. Definitely, yeah. And I've had to not just learn the language, but through their interactions with me, I've learned how to be like a Filipino. Like it's just like it's normal for us to, like, for example, when we wash the dishes, because literally what I said just then is, Jeremiah, go wash the dishes. That's the translation of it. But basically, when we wash the dishes in the Philippines, usually we take the sponge and we scrub that plate like until it's nice and clean. I think in some countries they use the little brush. Like I used to think that's like a toilet brush. Like I don't know why they use that, but like, it's just very different for every country. And others, they just use dishwashers.
Dishwashers,
right? I think that's the most modern way to wash
Here,
dishes.
especially in this country, most of the households, they just put in the plates in the dishwasher.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, I was trying. They put a chair against the sink because I'm not tall enough at that time. But they trained me at a young age. Even though I grew up overseas, I'll stand on top of that seat with my hands on the sink. And then I'm scrubbing away.
Very Filipino.
Yeah, very Filipino. So now you can see why. And obviously, throughout that whole time, they'll speak in Tagalog with me. So I would say that I can still speak till today, and that's definitely a good way to feel connected to my culture. And I think it's something to be thankful for.
Guys.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
I mean, sa ibang sa ibang bata na lumaki sa ibang countries, they grew up in the language of that country.
Yeah, totoo yun.
But here, I mean, you grew up in 3 different countries, di ba? Parang,
Yeah.
wow, still Filipino. He still, nakaka-speak siya ng language natin. He
Yeah.
still brings our culture, our hospitality and everything, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So,
yeah.
parang, wow, nakaka-proud yun bilang isang Pinoy, di ba?
Yeah.
Tsaka iba yung culture talaga ng Philippines. Very different from other. Pero dahil mas nakapunta siya sa other countries, lumaki siya sa ibang countries, parang sobrang ano nung culture niya, diverse din.
Yeah, totoo yun. Yeah, it's very true.
So how did you adjust? Like, kasi you've been to 3 countries, like you grew up there.
Yeah.
How was the adjusting process?
It's very different in each country because each country
yeah.
has a specific culture. So I have to always, when I go into the country, I always have to get to know the people that I first meet really well. They're usually my first point of contact, whether that's through school,
Okay.
through church, or just through any sort of social gathering, social events. And you know, it's not easy. I think the first time I went to Bahrain, this is the first country that I lived in after leaving the
4
Philippines.
years old.
Yeah, 4 years old, right? I mean, I was still pretty young, so I've had plenty of time to still, you know.
How long have
kinda-
you been in Bahrain?
11 years.
11
so
years.
like from 4 years old up to like late teens. So like going to late teens. So when I moved to Bahrain, like I was still like learning how to speak. So I was still kind of in that, you know, I guess I still have time to really adjust into the culture at a very young age. And usually it's a lot more easier to learn a language or to learn something about a certain culture when you're still young.
Yes.
Your brain's like a sponge. You can easily absorb things. So I walked into Bahrain, and I think I was set up to really live that life as a, you know, as a local in Bahrain, sorry, and I think I was able to like meet people along the way. That's helped me to feel connected to the country that I was living in at that time. But I think it was a challenge because it didn't change the fact that I am a Filipino by blood, and I'm not a Bahraini. I'm not a Bahraini. So Bahrainis will look at me, and you know, they'll just, you know, even though I've lived there for a few years, just like some of these guys, they'll still think I'm an outsider. So it's like I'll come up to them, I'll talk to them, but it's like I'm still foreign. Yeah, I'm still a foreigner to them. So I think that was the challenge. And so you know, so I'll be like, oh, but like I've lived here for a while. So you know, how do I work around that? And you know, sometimes I don't even know the answer. Like I think it's just I've had to always just make the most out of every opportunity I have today. So if someone's willing to talk, spend time with me, get to know me as a person, and, you know, I'm very grateful for that. That always opens up an avenue for friendship. But if they're not interested, then you know, I'll just have to move on. But you know, like again, there's two sides of the, you know, story here. You know, right?
Yeah.
There's like people from Bahrain that I'm trying to connect with, and also the culture that I've come from.
Yes.
Being a Filipino, I'm trying to connect with that as well. So, you know, when I went to Bahrain, that was the case, and then I went to New Zealand.
How many years?
That was 9 years. And
9 years.
Yes, 9 years in New
So
Zealand.
most of your teenage years
Yeah.
is in New Zealand.
Was
in New Zealand?
From New Zealand onwards, yes. So from
Oh.
late teens to young adulthood, yes, yeah. So, but we're also just talking about Bahrainis and
Okay.
New Zealanders right now. Within each country, there are all these different cultures that are also there. So I've had to speak
different.
with people from India or people from Japan or people from Germany and people from. It's like there's all these different cultures.
Diverse.
Yeah,
I
it's very
think
diverse.
New Zealand
yeah.
is more diverse than
A lot
Bahrain.
more.
Yeah.
I would say in Bahrain, there's a lot more Asian presence there. I think there's a lot of people from India there, people from Pakistan, people from Bangladesh as well. There's a lot of like East Asia, like this this part of the Asian region. There's a lot of them there, and I've had to learn from them too. So it's not just the Bahrainis, and there are certain cultures that I'm able to connect with more. I guess maybe because we're able to relate more, or just it just so happens that I meet people that are like really friendly in that culture, and like, you know, and I just happen to be around those people more than the ones who would be friendly to me, like that are Bahrainis. Like I guess I haven't, you know, been able to meet meet everybody.
Uh-huh.
Just because again, like there's just too much people sometimes to meet in one setting. You can only work with the ones who you're usually around with, usually in school. So I went to
school.
I went to a few schools. First, I went to a Filipino school,
In Bahrain.
in Bahrain, yes.
Mhm.
And then I left that school and I started going to a British school. So this one was international, very international. There's more people from different cultures. So this is where I started hanging out with people from Sri Lanka and people from India, people from Pakistan, Bangladesh, like these are a lot of Asians for sure. There were definitely some Bahrainis as well, but I didn't get the chance to hang out with them all the time. There was a bit of everybody. So yeah.
Then, nung you came to Australia, how many years? Like
3 years.
3
yeah.
years.
So
3 years pa lang.
Australia is not exactly. I mean, I'll get in trouble for saying Australia is the same like New Zealand. They're a bit different to some
Different.
extent, but it does remind me sometimes of New Zealand because I mean like from where I'm from, at least in in the South Island, in Christchurch, like it's not super international, but there are some international presence there, and I think
a lot of Filipinos.
a lot of Filipinos, definitely. There's people from Europe that comes over. They love the skiing and the snowboarding, and usually
More
for
active
nature,
lifestyle.
the active lifestyle. Yeah, so a lot of them will come over for these things. So I've managed to meet people from Germany, from like I think there was one from Finland, and like so some European countries, and then like Islanders. So this is where the Islanders come in. So
The Kiwis.
You got the Kiwis who are they're usually referred to as Pakeha. Pakeha in Maori means the white people. So there's two types of people in New Zealand. Kiwi, which is the white people, and then you have Maori, which is the first settlers. They're like the OGs. They've been there before the white people. So so there's two different cultures there at play. So very interesting. Each country different. There's a different setup. It's like a different system. So every time I go into a country, I have to understand these things. I have to know what is the culture here like. What's like the like who are the like if there's a first settler, who's the first settler? Like like what's the history behind like why they say this? And there's so much to explore. And to be honest with you, each country has a different personality, and I had to get to know them just like a person. Like I had to get to know them before I can really connect. So
Parang when you go to other country, parang ang sarap sa feeling. I mean,
talagang masarap.
because you get to know the culture nga, sabi mo, di ba?
Totoo yun. It's very true. It's very true. Yeah.
Parang sarap mag-travel talaga, guys. No?
Yeah.
So,
traveling, one thing I'll just quickly say, traveling helps you to be aware of your surroundings, like the people around you. Being culturally aware is very important. It helps you to connect with others better. But most importantly, you become self-aware. You get to know yourself more. I think if you're stuck in one place and you don't sort of branch out, go anywhere, you're set in that one sort of mindset, that one same community, that one same place. You never get the chance to really understand the world around you. It limits your understanding of things. I mean that's my opinion of traveling. Like traveling versus also living in a country. Because when you live in a country, you actually spend a lot more time with that culture or that set of those like collection of cultures. And I think for me, I've had to do that. And like it gave me more sort of like a grounding, like knowledge or like a good sort of better understanding of connecting with others and with myself. So
anyway, nice background. I mean,
thank you, bro.
Pinaggalingan mo, where you came from, is very nice. I mean, so interesting. I think we can do another vlog regarding that. I mean, because it's so like so many to discuss about it.
This is a big topic.
Maybe we can create a podcast about these things, right?
This is literally the life of a third culture kid. This is my life.
It's so interesting. So parang ganda. Let's make a vlog or podcast regarding ng mga pinunta ni Jeremiah or something. I mean, being a third culture kid, let's make a. Anyway, let's proceed to the music side.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. That sounds good.
Very nice background. Before we proceed to the music side, saan mo sa tingin nakuha yung accent?
My accent?
Yeah. New Zealand or sa Bahrain?
Oh.
Which is, you studied in Bahrain in a British school.
Yeah.
And in New Zealand, you studied also there. Sa tingin mo, where did you get the accent?
You know what's funny is
Yes.
because when I went to Bahrain,
Yeah.
I was a sponge. I was a young boy. I was ready to absorb all these different cultures, and one of the biggest culture that I've actually been exposed to initially was people it's the Indian culture. People from
Indian
India.
culture.
So I was talking to a lot of people from India, and their accent it became mine. So I was actually starting to talk or speak in that accent, and I'm not saying this like as if I'm trying to make fun of any culture. No, not at all. Like it's just the way I was brought up, and you know, and I'm not mimicking them for fun, or to, you know, like make fun of them. But like it's just I've been around. You know, you're around someone for a long time. You start to accommodate their ways. So I had an Indian accent.
So that's Indian.
Yeah. That's right. And that's in Bahrain.
Bahrain.
When I went to New Zealand, I started speaking like an islander, like because I was hanging out a lot with the islander boys.
Yeah.
I was still hanging out with the people like the Kiwis, like the Pakias, still there. But I started speaking like an islander. So like you know, like back then I'd be like, hey, oh, what's up, boys? Oh, you want to get some fish and chips, eh? And like right now, I sound like I'm making fun of the culture, but I'm not. I promise you.
It's like that.
It's just
it's
the way.
raining.
Yeah, it's raining.
Let's go.
Oh,
wait. We're gonna proceed.
Okay, we're gonna continue this.
Continue, wait.
Continue. Sige, bro.
Okay, guys. Because it's raining outside, we need to relocate.
Yeah.
So we're here now
Yeah.
in their lobby here.
Yeah.
So anyway, we just finished the New Zealand accent thing. So how was when you transferred here in Australia? How was it?
Well, when I came over here in Australia, I was juggling between all these different accents already. So from Bahrain, right?
Bahrain.
I was speaking to people from India a lot, so I had the Indian accent. And then I went over to New Zealand, and I was juggling that with sounding like an islander as well. And also throughout this whole time, as someone that's into music, specifically rap, a lot of the rappers I listen to are from the US, so I've been getting some influence around the American way of saying things. So I was also incorporating that. But then also I went to a British school
Yeah.
in Bahrain. So besides listening to people from India speaking to me, I also had to learn how to. We had English as a subject there, obviously. We had to learn how to pronounce things in a way that an English person would, or someone
English
from the UK would. So I started talking a little bit like that as well. So when I came to Australia, I had all these different accents. It's just and for some reason it happens on certain moments. Maybe I think usually it depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone from India, for some reason I think sometimes my accent will change, or someone usually from like, who's like an islander. I think this is when it becomes most obvious. So I'm talking like this. If I'm talking to someone from, like, let's say from Samoa or something like that, or like again from New Zealand, and the guys like Maori and all that, I'm like, hey, sup, bro? Like, okay, like, are you ready? Hey, oh, let's go, hey, let's go, bro, let's go. Like, I talk like this, but again, I don't talk like that to make fun of the
people.
culture.
Yeah,
It's, you know, and it's funny because people think that that I'm faking the accent as well. Like, oh, like one time I uploaded a video of me rapping, and one of the comments was like, "Oh, bro is trying to sound like American." But I listen to a lot of American rappers. Obviously, I will sound like an American at times, especially if I'm rapping, because that's where the main influence is from. But throughout the whole time, my accents have changed, and now I think this is what I sound like. I'll leave you guys to have an opinion on what you think my accent is.
Comment down below.
Comment down below on what you think I sound like. Do I sound American? Do I sound Australian? Do I sound like I'm from India or something? I don't know. Let's let the people decide.
So you decide, guys, huh?